Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's virtual plant clinic. My name is Bill Lester. I'm with University of Florida Extension here in Hernando County, and with me today is my regular co-host Lily Browning, who is the Hernando County Florida Friendly Landscape Coordinator. So she doesn't coordinate the landscape; she
It's everywhere.
coordinates the Florida Friendly Landscaping program
Program.
here.
Yes.
And we
I
were just
would, yeah.
discussing whether she's going to be here next week or not.
Doesn't sound like it. And believe me,
I
I would.
will be.
Yeah, I would rather be here. I would much rather be here next week. And you know how they say I would rather do a root canal than this thing. No, I would
Uh-huh.
rather do your thing than the root canal I have to do next Thursday.
We're
um,
really not that bad, not nearly as bad as a root canal.
no, I'll either be just being evaluated or they'll go ahead and do it. That is assuming we can get my insurance straightened out. I just got a phone call saying that they said I didn't have dental insurance. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm sitting here at work paying for it, so I have to straighten that out now too.
I make my wife do all that stuff.
Yeah,
I can't, I don't have patience for the insurance companies and the
I
arguing
do.
and sitting on hold listening to music for half your day.
Yes. Good morning from Lake City. Lois is joining us from Lake City.
Lake City, that's far away, and it's even chillier up there than it is here. It was chilly this morning. I don't know what it's like now, but it was,
Let's see. Yeah, I know. And
oh,
remember, we told everyone we weren't done with the cold. No, we didn't get a freeze, but
yeah,
we
yeah, yeah, yeah.
could have.
And it looks like it's only 48 now, according to my computer, and
That's what
it's
my computer said too, but I was
okay.
checking it to see if it needed to be refreshed or not. Um, oh, see now, it's way warmer than that. According to my phone, it's 61.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, and temperatures generally in the 40s are not damaging to anything.
no,
It'll make plants unhappy overnight, but then as soon as the sun comes up, it warms back up. So we probably won't see any more damaging cold weather, hopefully.
probably not, but it could have. And we've seen freezes on December 3rd. I mean, December, yeah, we have seen freezes on
Yeah.
December 3rd, on April 3rd before.
Good morning, Donna. How are you? And of course, Buddy says that there's frost on the ground there, but he's up in the panhandle,
He's in
so there's
Tallahassee.
always frost up there, I think.
No, I've been pretty hot up there. uh, Lots of gardens frosting. Glad I waited.
Up in North Florida, yeah.
39 years, yes. I had
Good
uh,
morning, Ann.
a gentleman in my class yesterday, my Moonlight Gardens class
Mm-hmm.
from Southern California. See what happens when
Wow.
you do classes called Moonlight Gardens? You get the Californians joining you. He had a lot of questions. It was very interesting. Well, he actually was asking a lot of questions about Hernando County in general. So I'm wondering if he's planning on moving here or.
That may very well be.
Mhm.
But I've gotten phone calls because University of Florida has all of us with extension writing blog posts. And if you write on a good topic and get a lot of views on it, you move up higher in Google search. So people, no matter where they live, if they just Google their problem, they may run across my blog post. And if it has my contact information, I get a phone call.
There you go.
I got a phone call from a guy with some questions about a Sylvester palm, and I answered him. I said, by the way, where do you live? He said, New Orleans.
No,
So,
I have, I follow their Facebook page of, their parish's Master Gardener program, and they've got a very active one there. So, but the one time I went to New Orleans, I would like to go back. The one time I went, I did not see one single plant there that we don't have here. It was all, the same. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's an awful lot of overlap. I've been twice. New Orleans is great. Downtown historic New Orleans is the funniest place to just either look out high up window or just literally pull out a chair and sit on the street corner. Because you will see the craziest stuff. You'll see people pull up in their cars and they jump out and they got instruments. They start playing music in the street.
Mhm.
Someone's running around with a paper towel box, and people are throwing in cash, and homeless people are dancing, and it's wild. It's just more amusing than anything I can ever find on TV. So it holds my attention.
Good morning, Monique, from beautiful downtown Brooksville. And good morning, Teresa,
Oh, I quit that. Good morning, Teresa. How are you?
from 20 feet away from Bill. And
Lily, here's a good question for you.
we were
How do people
having a
get rid of those grasshoppers?
conversation before we went live. We literally do talk about garden stuff before we go live because there's something wrong with us. But anyway, we were discussing how he told me to start following this community Facebook group because he wants to make me crazy. And anyway, we were discussing how it's disappointing to me because you would think we'd be getting past the stage or past the generations that felt like see a bug, kill a bug. But apparently not. And we were talking about the lubber grasshoppers. So I'll let you discuss the lubber grasshoppers for Facebook user.
We've discussed this before, but I'm a member of a lot of different Facebook groups, everything from community groups in Hernando County / Spring Hill / Brooksville, lots of gardening groups that cover Central Florida, all of Florida. And I can't tell you how many posts I see about lubber grasshoppers. People seem to have the mistaken idea that they will eat and kill everything in your yard. And that's just not true. People make the mistake of they go outside and they look and there's a hole in a leaf or whatever. And then they look and the first living thing they see is a big grasshopper. They assume the grasshopper made the hole. Maybe, maybe not. Lots of things can make holes. If your lawn looks bad, there's a lot of things that can make your lawn look bad. I've had people call me on the phone asking how do I control these big grasshoppers because my lawn looks bad. I said, I'm sure you have big grasshoppers and I'm sure your lawn looks bad too. But A has nothing to do with B. So
correlation does not mean causation.
Exactly. Thank you for putting that in a very scientific way. So quit obsessing over the grasshoppers. They are hatching right now, depending on where you live. I'm sure south of here they've already hatched and they're around. North of here they may be hatching like this morning, for all I know, in your backyard. If you live a little bit north of here, and then up in the Panhandle, they will eventually hatch in the not too distant future. So go ahead and scoop them up, put them in a bucket of soapy water, bleach and water, alcohol, rubbing alcohol and water. I went to water my vegetable garden about a week ago, and I had a whole bunch of them sitting on top of a sprinkler head. So I shot a little short video. If you go to our Facebook page, Hernando Extension, or Hernando EXT is the short name for it. It's one of the Facebook Reels. We've been doing the little short 1-minute videos. And I shot a video of them, and then I turned the sprinklers on, and the water, boom, blew them all off. I didn't do anything about them. I am observing them, and I will continue to observe them. If they eat nothing, I will share that on Facebook. If they do eat something, I will share that on Facebook also. So far, they've eaten nothing. They have not been a problem.
What they're going to eat are your amaryllis.
Don't have any.
Yeah, but for those who do, your crinum lilies.
Don't have any.
Your daylilies. Their favorite
Don't have any.
thing to eat.
I should get some. I like daylilies.
Their favorite thing to eat are bulb plants.
I've seen them on my holly hedge in the front yard.
Yeah.
Nothing eats holly leaves. It's like chewing on shoe leather.
Right.
I have never seen a hole in a holly leaf in that hedge.
No, they're very waxy
Hmm.
and tough leaves. Yeah. I've seen, yeah, I've always had the lovers, and they might go around tasting things. They do not disseminate your entire yard. They'll go around to, they may disseminate your patch of amaryllis. That might happen. But and as Bill
Yeah.
said, you see them grouped together when they're little and black with either a red stripe or a yellow stripe. I find that using a big cup, a disposable cup, but like this, and having it full of soapy water, put them in, scoop them in, and put the lid on, let them sit in that for a while, and then dispose of it quick and easy. And you have not had to resort to any kind of chemical.
Hmm. Monique found that stomping on them works well.
We call that mechanical control. Yes, both my method and her method are mechanical control.
And Maggie Chili Beanie says that she had a root canal also.
Uh-huh.
And in Gainesville, she covered most of her tender plants with frost cloth, and they did well. So obviously, it's at least a couple degrees colder up there than here.
Yeah, since it was in the 40s here, I wonder, Buddy will have to tell us how cold it got up there. I got two pictures. I got a picture of a snowy road, not too bad, like 3 inches, from my daughter in Pennsylvania, and then a real pretty picture from my sister in Connecticut, who's already gone back. She's a snowbird, and her husband insists they must be back in time to do his and his son's taxes. And they, apparently they have not heard of the internet. And so,
There's still a few of those people around.
yes, so they go back pretty early. So, I mean, they come back while it's still hot, and then they go back up there while it's still snowy. But it was a beautiful picture. Luckily, their drive up there was snowless. And then once she got there, beautiful picture from her window.
It's funny. I mentioned that to my wife maybe a week or two ago about people and their access to the internet. And I guess literally to prove her point, she pulls her phone out, starts looking it up, found some really good research numbers. In Florida, 1, 2, 3% of the population does not have access to the internet. The number of people who are not online, you may think older people can't figure out the internet. Well, obviously, we do the virtual plant clinic here,
Right? Oh,
and
yeah.
not everybody on here is a teenager or 20 something. We have a wide range of people who are obviously figured out how to join us here.
Hmm.
The number has dropped dramatically over just the last couple of years from people who were not online and who now are. What's growing, and it's kind of it's not a huge number, but it's growing. 5 or 10% of people are people who are intentionally off grid.
Yeah.
So I could cancel my cell phone service. I could go home and cancel the internet, and I can cancel all that stuff. I still have access to it, but I
Correct.
could just cancel it, turn it all off, never go back on it again. I can make that choice.
Sure. And some people do that because it's for their mental health or whatever, and that's fine too.
Apparently, that the Spring Hill Facebook group is affecting you adversely. So, and people do disconnect temporarily for a while, and nothing wrong with that.
You have
This
to.
time of year, put everything away, go outside, do something outside,
Yeah,
go for a walk, go
absolutely.
for a hike. Better get busy in that garden. Start
Away.
growing some herbs. I'm sitting here looking at my email, and I just got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 more people who signed up for that herb class later this morning. So grow some herbs. There's a lot of things you could do that don't involve being online.
Well, but you have to be online to take your class to learn to grow the herbs.
Yes, but if you are going to be online, make sure that you follow us online. And let me go ahead and turn this on for a little bit. Figure out how to go to that www.hernandoextension.com. If you're on your computer, there should be a little box up on the top, and just type that in and go there. And that way you can follow all of our upcoming classes, information on our virtual plant clinic as soon as I schedule it, which will be after I get back from lunch early this afternoon. I'll schedule it for next week. Within 24 hours, it shows up on that HernandoExtension.com. There's a lag. It can be 24 hours before it shows up. But it will have the link, it'll have the information, the time, who's going to be there as best as I know it. Next week, it may be me and anybody I can talk into coming on here. Hey, there was something I was going to mention to you. I didn't have a chance to before I had to hit start broadcast today.
Uh-oh.
We stream the platform that you're watching us on, wherever you're watching us from, whether it be through Facebook or YouTube or whatever, is a service called StreamYard. And they make the beautiful platform that we can make nice graphics, and we're in little boxes, and I got my box, Lily has hers. We can have 10 people on here. Now, when I have a guest on, and I believe this would apply to you, I'm not positive because you're technically an admin, but I know that when I invite a guest, they can go on, and if they come on a little bit early, they can set it up so it streams onto whatever social media platforms they're an admin on.
Oh,
Are
wow.
you an admin on your Facebook page or not?
Oh, yes, of course, yeah. I'm
You
one
can-
of them.
You can stream this to your Facebook page. They
Yes,
just
I am
changed-
one of
they just
them,
fixed
but so is the Public Information Office. You know, in case I happen to go rogue and start going crazy, they can shut me down. But what it's really for is in an emergency situation,
Mhm.
they take, like a hurricane or something, they take over all of the county Facebook pages so that they put out all of the information at the same time to all the venues. So
That sounds like a really bad movie to me, but
why?
yeah, you never want to have any kind of business related social media with only one admin, because if
Oh,
something
no.
happens to them or they quit or leave,
Right.
nobody can get in. So
There's that. And if I, before I left, decided to just go insane, they need to be able to shut me down. So,
but in the future, if you wanted to try, you could stream this live on your Facebook page.
okay, I will.
Something to think about. Didn't have a chance to share that.
That would be cool. Because for now, I just share it when we're done. Put it on my page. And of course, here comes Teresa with herbs and spices in the Florida garden.
Yes, Teresa is going to be on my class today because there's a lot of people who are going to be on there, and it really helps when it comes to managing it.
Maggie needs to start teaching some of my classes. Grasshoppers and butterflies, that she's very careful. Without pollinators, none of us will exist. You start putting pesticides down, you don't have pollinators. Or the bugs are also food sources for the pretty, the birds and the things that we like. We don't want to take their food source away or poison it. So we really got to think of those things.
And she lives up in Gainesville, and she said, is it true the trees will help hold in some of the heat from sunshine? Yes and no.
They
Trees
might hold
moderate the temperature.
Right, they do. They will make it cooler. What they might hold in is the, depending on how dense they are. I don't want to use the wrong terminology. Is it the carbon dioxide or something?
No, well, when it comes to temperature, trees help moderate the temperature because they keep things, picture a big city with lots of concrete, they create shade and keep it from heating up as much. Let's say it gets reasonably warm during the day and the temperature is the same all around your yard. At night, when we lose all the radiant heat, let's say there's no clouds and all the heat just goes straight out into outer space, trees help to block that, and it will always, on a really cold night, it's always going to be a bit warmer underneath shade trees than in open spots in your yard.
But just think of what you do naturally when you're standing on the street and it's hot. where are you going to want to stand? You're going to want to stand under that tree. So it does
Yeah.
make it cooler in the day and possibly warmer at night, like you said. Don't stand under that tree if you're in the middle of a lightning storm, though.
Looks like Maggie's having some technical difficulties. Hopefully everybody else's audio and video is working reasonably correctly. Of course, we don't recommend sitting on your router. Sounds like something my wife would do.
Maybe she's sitting under trees.
That could be. Somebody has something digging in their vegetable containers. Obviously, containers, they're growing vegetables in containers, and they put red pepper flakes on it. Will this damage the plants when it gets wet? No. No. We have receptors in our tongues and our taste buds in our mouths, so we can taste, and the capsaicin and hot things affects us. You know, parrots and birds do not have those receptors. A parrot can eat hot peppers all day long, doesn't bother it at all. And then it flies around the forest in Central America, poops all over the place. That's how hot peppers get spread naturally in their natural environment. We taste, so red pepper flakes.
Well, I think she's worried about, will it hurt the plant?
Nope, won't hurt the plant.
It's probably squirrels getting in your vegetable containers.
Probably, yeah, and hopefully, I don't know if squirrels have receptors in their tongues or not. I'm not that smart.
I've never looked at a squirrel tongue.
Where's my boss, Jim Davis? How come we don't have him on for these questions?
I don't know why.
Lily, do you foresee us growing inside in the future due to weather? You can right now. Some people do.
I mean, people do grow inside in greenhouses. You know, we have forever. If you mean it getting too hot, I see a lot of adaptation occurring. I would see, just like Bill is showing you, more than just your standard 3 edible crops you can grow in the summer. You're showing us things from South Florida, South America, Africa, all that, you know, that you can grow. So I just see us adapting, you know, more about the edible crops. I would see a combination of more greenhouse that you can control, and then, you know, who knows, maybe one day they'll be growing, you know, oranges in Pennsylvania, you know, but I think we're a long way from that.
You have a long way to go from there, because even with growing tropical fruits here in Hernando County,
right,
it's not particularly easier than it was 10, 20 years ago.
Before I see any of that occurring, what I see is, and hoping for, actually a generation of millennials and Gen X's who do not worship lawns, who do not care if they have the perfect green lawn, and it's just going to become unsustainable, you know, to try and keep, I'm not saying you shouldn't have a lawn, but to obsess to have a perfect lawn, I see that going by the wayside, and communities that demand them. When the millennials and Gen Zs are running the earth, and they are the HOAs, I foresee that changing, because there's going to be more limitations on their water use. I think there's going to be enough water for, especially in our lifetime, you know, for everyone to have for human use. But are we going to be able to then share it with green grass in front of our house? You know, that might be different.
Yeah, given the fact that, and I assume this is a general rule around Florida, I know here in Hernando County, the utilities department says that about 60% of the water they send out gets used in the landscape. That's too much.
Yes, it is.
I wouldn't think that that's really sustainable long term.
Absolutely, I agree completely.
So we have plenty for ourselves. We just may not be able to blow it all over our front lawn whenever we want, like we've been doing for many years.
Unless we come up with more reclaimed and, you know, taking out of storm ponds, stormwater, you know, things like that.
And we have a question here. about 30-foot trees over my garden with medium sun, will that affect my garden outcome? Yes, that will have an impact on it. And shade is relative. And it's really hard for us to start going back and forth about, well, how shady is it? Well, it's kind of shady. Well, a lot shady, a little shady, medium shady. Shade is really, really relative. The shadier it gets, the more different the plant community is going to be. Things grow in the shade, but things that grow in the sun and need a full sun location will not grow in the shade, depending on how shady it is.
Or they will grow, just not the way you want them to. A shade adaptation is to have bigger and darker leaves.
Yes.
And that's not what you're looking for in your vegetables. And they'll get leggy and they'll start that autotropic reaching for the sun. So it won't
Yeah.
be
So
what
if it's
you want.
turf grass does not like heavy shade. It won't necessarily die. If it's too shady, it will die, but it may
Right.
be really thin. Vegetables are going to be really leggy. So it does have an impact, but it depends on a lot of things. Is it
Mhm.
blocking the sun and causing shade in the morning or the late afternoon? Late afternoon, it may be a good thing, especially during the summer. So,
Your vegetable garden does need a lot of sun, though. What, at least 8 hours, right?
yes. And Monique wants to know, with vegetables, have you ever used a tomato cage for cucumbers in a container? You can. You definitely can. It makes a very good trellis, basically.
Yeah.
Circular trellis. So
Hmm.
yeah, that'll work very well.
Why not? I haven't seen tomato cages. I haven't looked for them, but I haven't seen them. They used to be everywhere. I guess they're still around.
Oh, you see them at Lowe's, Home Depot, garden
Mhm.
centers, nurseries. They're more expensive than they used to be. But Dawn points
Woohoo!
out that Gen X has never been into manicured lawns. They can look nice naturally, love natural, no pesticides, easy on fertilizers. Just my thoughts. And Dawn, thank you so much for tuning in. We're here pretty much every Thursday. Maybe not just the two of us. It might be one or the other, or
And
guests,
ours, and
or
ours,
Bernie. Throw Bernie in the mix.
ours do like Bill and I each have a freedom lawn. That's what we call them, and about half bahia and half whatever else wants to grow there.
It looks like Maggie has essentially crabgrass in her opinion. So, hey, that's fine. As long as the dirt is covered.
That's what we spoke to local community. We've been going there every Tuesday. It's supposed to be every other Tuesday. We'll get to that, but we had to make up some dates. And they have strict rules about their lawns there. But Bill told them, it all depends on your goals. What are your goals for your lawn?
Uh-huh.
And what are your goals, Bill?
My goals are to keep the dirt. My wife says she doesn't want to see bare dirt, so everything has to be covered. She doesn't care particularly what's growing out there, and I need to keep it cut and looking good. And I generally do those things. And I have big areas where it's lighter on the weeds and heavier on the bahia. So I bag it, I compost all that, it all goes into the vegetable garden. So my lawn meets all of my goals. And my
Hmm.
goals are realistic. I mean, I can achieve that.
Right.
If your goal is to have an absolute perfect manicured zero weed St. Augustine lawn in a very sandy part of town, you may never get there. We may never be able to help you get there. You may end up spending a ton of money, time, resources getting there. So you need to think about all those things before you dive in.
I go with the Master Gardener. Mantra is green, and most of the time, not in the winter, but green,
Mhm.
mowable, looks good at 30 miles an hour and from 30 feet away. There you go.
That's the simplest. That's the
See?
least expensive. That's the least time consuming. You have
Mhm.
to cut it, or you have to hire somebody to cut it. It needs to be
Yeah,
cut.
right.
And even if it's a good percentage weeds, you don't want to cut it too short. You want to cut it, I would think, minimum 3 inches high.
Oh, yeah.
Higher is better. You're going to find that you end up with better coverage during the
Mhm.
summer, especially.
My lawn looks absolutely fantastic right now in this, I would say, 4 by 15 foot rectangle. That is my drain field for my septic tank.
Lily, have you ever thought about doing a class on gardens for pollinators?
Yes, I've thought about it. I've done it. Go to Hernando County Government YouTube and go to the Florida Friendly Landscaping playlist. There's several classes on pollinators there.
There's probably over 100 hours of programming on there.
107 as of right now.
Man, you're going to be competing with 60 Minutes pretty soon. I bet you more people watch your videos than watch 60 Minutes anymore. So,
I have a little bit more exciting music in the front, John. I don't have. How long has 60 Minutes been on? I'm going to say like 45 years. I mean, I was little when it.
easy. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. And Maggie pointed out that when it comes to amount of shade, you could use a light meter. Photographers use them. Do you have one? Do you use one?
No,
Do they have that built into your phone?
I don't think so.
You may be able to get an app for your phone.
Okay.
Now, I have no idea what any of the readings mean in relation to volume of shade for plant purposes. But it looks like Teresa found a University of Florida fact sheet on that.
Of course you did. Yes.
So University of Florida is going to have information on light exposure for plants. And I guess I'm going to have to look that up about using, if you think your yard is shady, using a light meter, and it's going to give you a reading. How does that reading relate to full sun, no sun, part sun? I don't know.
Yeah.
And Lois has watched the pollinator videos. Good idea.
Oh, yeah.
So see, people are watching your videos.
There's one on there called Bee Specific. There is pollinator starter kit. There's probably 4 or 5 videos on pollinators on that list. Oh, there's the what are plain pollinators? The uncool kids who don't get all the attention. Yeah, I think you joined me on that one.
I'm sure I did. And I noticed on my schedule we have several coming up in the near future.
Next week, next Wednesday, we have Getting to Know Your Irrigation System. The week after that is the What, When, Where, Why of fertilizing. I advertised those both yesterday in my Moonlight Garden class. I let them know that next week is Getting to Know Your Irrigation System, and then I went, blah. That's not fun and exciting to me. That's why Dr. Bill's going to join me, but it's important because people are going to use their irrigation systems. We can't stop them yet. So it's almost like,
some people think that they have to use it.
Yeah.
It's like, just because Wednesday is my day, it has to run every Wednesday or my lawn is going to die.
Well, then there's the group of people who believe we should not be addressing it at all because, lawns are bad, this whole. Here's the thing. Lawns exist right now. People are concerned about lawns right now. People are going to use that irrigation system. It's my job in water conservation to teach them principle number 2 of Florida Friendly Landscaping, water efficiently. It's almost like having teenagers. There are things you would rather them not do, but they're going to do them. So best to equip them with in ways, that they won't get hurt. So, that's kind of an odd way of looking at it, but people are still are going to use those sprinkler systems, have those lawns, we have to at least try to control it in a way that not only is water efficient, it's lawn efficient. It's best for the plant.
Exactly. And there's so many little things and tips and tricks. You can start by checking your system, going out there, running it zone by zone, making sure you don't have broken heads, broken pipes. Everything is, the water's all blowing where it's supposed to be blowing and not where it's not supposed to be blowing, like the side of your car, the side of your house, your neighbor's yard, whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
You can save water that way. Um, Hopefully, for people who have sprinkler systems, when we had the time change, everybody needs to go out today. And if you didn't change the batteries, the backup battery in your timer, go ahead and do so. Otherwise, you have a power outage, power comes back on, the clock is off, your
Right.
sprinkler's running, who knows when, who knows what time, who knows how many days.
So I had a conversation with a gentleman yesterday. I should have realized where he was headed with it, but I fell into it. But he was very nice. He wanted to know, and this is where the nitty gritty of the rules come in. You know, he had put down an herbicide, and what I wasn't catching on at first was he had done it, and I actually had to call him back. Because if you have a company out come and do any sort of treatment and that they tell you and put out a sign that you've been treated, it's best to wait till after 6, but you can water it in no matter your watering day if they have treated it. Where it changed with him, he did it. Why does that make a difference? Because when you do it, you control what day you do it. So you should do it on the watering day. Turns out he got a citation. And so he had been looking for like a way out. And I actually showed him, no, this is what you should have done. You should have done it on your watering day because you have control when you do it. You can't really tell the company, no, come only on my watering day, because they have lots of other people.
Yeah, so, they're going to come when they come.
Right. And so if you're doing it, you should do it on to coincide with your watering day. So he's not going to get out of his citation, but he was very nice about it. And what I did was sent him the PDF to a program I made, probably one of the absolute least exciting programs on that YouTube channel. It's called Hernando's Water Rules. Riveting, but it gets down into that nitty gritty. And when you are wanting to know these very specifics, I broke it all down in simple language for you. And I just sent him the PDF, and he answered me very nicely that he had lived here 29 years and found a lot of things on there he didn't know. So, there's more than just the when to run your irrigation system, what day and what time. There's a lot more to it than that. And I go through the Muni code. Isn't that exciting? Actually, what I do is save you from looking through the Muni code. I pull out the important parts and put them on a slide. So.
Yeah, some of that Muni code stuff isn't all that interesting. Here, I'm sorry. I'm distracted doing something here. So
that's all right. We got lots of
ADD kicking in.
We got lots of questions here, so you should answer them.
Sure. Going through the questions. Is there a cage on the market that I could buy for my young peach tree that had 2 blooms, now no blooms? Where did they go? It's the $1 million question. I need a cage. When peaches flower in the spring, the flowers can naturally fall off. If they're pollinated within a certain period of time, you'll end up with a tiny little peach and the flower drops off. So blooms dropping off isn't unusual. You really wouldn't want to cage it. It was nothing that came along and ate the blooms. There are covers. There's the shade cloth and stuff that they cover citrus trees to keep insect pests off of it. Wouldn't want to do that with a peach tree because when it's blooming, you need bees to come and visit it during the 1 or 2 days that that bloom is there. If your tree decides to bloom and it's really cloudy and rainy for a few days, bees aren't out working. Your flowers aren't going to get pollinated. You're probably going to have a poor crop that year. So there's a lot that goes into it. University of Florida has a lot of really good information on growing peaches, peach varieties, how to prune them, which is important also. You have to prune them in kind of a unique way. Somebody asked, what is an inexpensive, fast-growing hedge? Viburnum. Simple, basic, viburnum. If you
Yeah, there's lots out
if
there.
you if you irrigate it properly, just make sure it doesn't dry out really bad. Fertilize it really, really lightly a couple times a year. You can make it grow like crazy, and it will grow to be whatever height. I've seen them hedge 10 feet tall and wide enough where you can keep it full and thick and not see through it.
Ryalis has lots of nice yellow flowers, and it grows pretty quickly too.
That's pretty. That'll never turn into a 10-foot hedge if you're looking for anything for privacy.
I have some that grew the size of my house.
Ryalis?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never seen them get that big. They flower great. They flower almost year round.
Yeah.
Dawn points out that manicured lawn equals less food. Anne Marie says, I see a lot of peanut grass growing for ground covering. So pretty too. What do you think? Works really well. A lot of municipalities use it in roadway medians because anything that you put in that median, you got traffic. It's scorching hot out there during the summer. Almost impossible to irrigate. Anybody who tries putting irrigation out there, it gets broken like overnight. It's always broken. So peanut grass or perennial peanut works great. Works really well. Covers the dirt.
If it thinks about getting cold in the fall, the perennial peanut will turn brown and let it.
It dies back. It generally dies back in the winter. That's normal,
right.
And that depends on where you live.
A native you can think about is sunshine mimosa that some people use for the ground cover.
Pretty too.
Yes. Yep. Either one are great.
So Lily Monique has a question specifically for you.
You may water on your watering day before 8 a.m. or not or after 6 p.m. So, Dr. Lester, given those two time frames, what time frame would you suggest would be actually best for the health of the lawn?
What you want to do is figure out how long it takes to run your whole system, and then subtract that from 8 a.m. So run it as close to dawn as you can, knowing that it has to be done and clicked off by 8 a.m. Otherwise, the truck's driving by at 8:05 and it's still running, bing, you still get a citation.
Now, there's watering. What they're referring to is your automatic irrigation system, watering your lawn and whole landscape, even a hose end sprinkler, watering your lawn or landscape plants. You can stand with a hose in your hand watering your landscape plants, not out watering your lawn, unless, the other phone call I got this week was, first she said she was overseeding, and I told her no, overseeding does not qualify for any exemption to the watering rules. You can't just put on your irrigation system because you put seed down in your grass. Then we talked about it more, and what she was talking about was bare spots. She was seeding in bare spots. Okay,
yeah.
They call those hot spots. And what you are allowed to do with those, if you have put sod in or seeded in these bare spots, these hot spots, you can stand there with a hose as long as it's got a nozzle that, self-canceling nozzle, Or you can actually bring out that hose end sprinkler, showing that it's targeting just that spot. You're allowed to water in those hot spots for that reason. Your vegetable garden, just water it as you need to. They're not on. It's not on.
It's probably in your backyard anyway. So
Right. Well,
probably
don't encourage them to think they can do what they want in their backyard.
you can plow under the front yard, plant corn.
Yes. Your
If you live
vegetable
in an
garden
HOA, it's going to be a problem.
is not part of the watering restrictions. If you have some of your landscape plants on a micro irrigation system, that's not part of the watering restrictions, things like that. It's mainly watering your grass with large amounts of water.
Yeah. Okay, we have a question. Is cassava considered to be invasive? Not that I know of. Cassava, also known as yucca, is a South American plant with edible roots. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. I like it very much. You have to put seasoning on it because it inherently doesn't have a whole lot of taste. It's very starchy, like kind of a starchy potato, but a bit different. Essential in Central American and Cuban and Caribbean cuisines. I like it. I need to grow it. It grows great here in the summer.
A question was brought to me, and I told the person to call the Madison County Extension Office because he's inherited land there, and he wants to consider planting persimmon, but like on a large scale. But it can be done as far as the growing. He wants to know what kind of market there is.
University of Florida has experts and researchers that work in that area, and they can help find specific information and contacts in that area.
Okay.
If they were to contact us, we could put them in touch with the right. I would point. Well, what county is he in?
Madison.
Yeah, if he contacts them up there, they have more ag agents up in the Panhandle because there's more agriculture and fewer people up there.
Well, he has a buddy who told him that he does it and he has a great market in Jacksonville. I imagine you would in Orlando too. It seems like the people who want to eat persimmon on a regular basis, to purchase it on a regular basis, is you're looking for an Asian community. That's what they have seemed to have found. That no one else is interested in it on a daily basis.
Yeah. Well, persimmon you harvest at a specific time of year. It's not available necessarily year round.
Right. Okay.
And look at this. One of our viewers, Anne Marie, said persimmons will grow in Madison. We grow them.
He knows that. He knows that.
Yeah, you can grow them up there.
He wants to know who he can sell them to and make money doing it. If that's.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people forget that. They seem to assume like, I'm just going to grow it or I'm going to raise it or whatever. And if I grow it, they will come and buy it.
Yeah.
Maybe
he's
not.
an engineer. He knows about business plans and all of that. So.
And if I have to charge $7 a persimmon, people will pay that much. Maybe not. You need to think about all these things. It's called having a plan.
Yes, exactly.
So I need to go in just a moment or two here, but I do see one more kind of sort of question here about greenhouses. And yes, we did have a guest on our Facebook page, the Hernando Extension Facebook page, a while back. It was on Facebook Live, and one of our master gardeners talked about greenhouses. And this questioner is asking about a heavy-duty steel frame small greenhouse. You have to worry about codes. If where you live it's zoned agricultural, you're under different codes than if it's zoned residential. Obviously, too big of a greenhouse is not allowed in residential. There are codes. It has to be able to withstand a certain strength of wind, and I don't know what those codes are off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. But when it comes to getting information about where you could turn or where you could find sturdier greenhouses, if you contact our office, chances are Teresa will be the one who will answer the
Teresa
phone.
knows all. Da, 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 da.
Yeah,
I
Teresa.
know we
Teresa
have
knows
put
everything. I don't know much of anything. Teresa knows everything.
my husband had to put down straps for, it wasn't a greenhouse, it was a shed, you know, a pretty good sized shed. So I imagine that's part of what you have to do with a greenhouse too, is
Yep.
anchor it down with straps and all of that. Yeah.
Strapping it down, concreting it down, footers. Obviously, the larger the timbers or the metal, the stronger it's going to be. The more they're all rated for winds. You know, like this
Mhm.
model will withstand winds of this many miles, just like houses, just like everything.
Mhm.
And those codes have changed over the years, so it's not like it was 30 years ago.
Well, no, Andrew changed a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, and then after every hurricane, they learn more and they have to
Mhm.
tweak more. So,
Mhm.
guys, like I said, I need to go in just a second here. So, hey, let me thank all of our, I'm not going to say new viewers, because I know some of them have definitely been on here before, but they've asked more questions than before. So,
Yes.
we want everybody to participate. Everybody come out and ask questions. Teresa will find a fact sheet on it and put the link up. So, kind of a
Oh,
team effort here.
Cindy was hiding today. Hello, Cindy. Yes.
Okay, but I will be back here again next week. Lily probably won't be. I'll try to get a guest. I'll see if I have enough free time to go hunting for somebody. Oh,
Corey's
and
here
look,
too.
even Corey made it just in time.
Yeah.
Corey, if you just got here, you can watch the recording of it because
There
these
you
are all
go.
recorded for people who can't be here with us live in person. So, hey, everyone, thank you so much. And like I said, I got to go. I'll be back here again next week, next Thursday at 10 a.m. for the virtual plant clinic. And we'll try to get an exciting guest in here to
What?
help
What?
answer questions. No,
That's
you're exciting. You won't be here. So we'll try to get somebody other than just me. How's that?
Okay.
Okay, that works. Okay,
I
hey,
mean,
thanks again, everybody.
I'll try, but I might be in the middle of the root canal. You probably don't want to watch that.
You can do it live from the
Yeah.
dentist chair.
Yeah, Bill.
Just hit mute when the colorful language comes out. This is a family show.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks again, everybody. We'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Okay, already. Bye.